But Tom, over to you now. Get off the phone. Let's talk about Depp versus Heard on Netflix, because that's what you wanted to talk about. Get off the phone.
I'm not on the phone.
About
the doctor's office calling me and stuff like that. No, speaking of doctors, the day after my surgery, I had to go put my foot up. So I was like, all right, well, this 3-hour documentary about Depp versus Heard. I know a lot of people that are supposed to pop up in this from the trailer I'd seen. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll check it out.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers.
Yeah,
and a lot of them who are pissed off that they're making money off of their clips and stuff.
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag, I guess. Some people did answer the emails and got paid. Some people didn't answer the emails and didn't get paid, but Netflix just decided to use whatever footage they were going to use, period. And the funny thing is like 90% of this documentary that isn't the court case footage is actually YouTubers and TikTokers. But anyway, you're about to say, Mr. H, yeah.
Well, I was just going to, do you want to explain to people what this is and what the issue is and what you wanted to talk about specifically about it?
Sure. So yeah, what happened was Netflix bought this documentary. I can't remember the producer's name, but it's a 3-part documentary about the trial. And it was #1 over the weekend in most places that I know of on Netflix. So people are watching it. But basically, the documentary can be summed up as whatever you thought about the trial, you were wrong. Amber was innocent, and it's because of YouTube and TikTok that you're wrong. And it's actually, I'm surprised that some of the media is not being as nice to this documentary as I thought they would be. And I think it's because the documentary is so piss poorly put together that they don't even really... Like a perfect example. Here's the best example I can give you of the documentary. For those who followed along with the trial, there was a moment when this guy from TMZ was there, and his claim was that, Amber had called the offices and let them know she was going to be going down and filing these charges, blah, 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 to make sure the paparazzi was out front to catch her, and all that kind of business. Well, Amber's lawyer was like, well, aren't you just looking for your 15 minutes of fame? And he's like, well, actually, no, because TMZ is one of the most litigious organizations out there, and I'm putting myself at risk right now. Yeah. And then he turned around and said, well, and I could also say the same damn thing about you taking on Amber Heard as your client.
Yeah, as your client.
And he really shut her up real quick then. And irony of ironies, they go from that into the part of like, do you know what a super chat is? Do you know that YouTubers get money from them? And it was just this whole thing like, oh, so they're like, YouTubers were benefiting from the trial. They were making money from their coverage of the trial. And I'm just sitting here going, oh, you mean like you guys are right now? And so did CBS, thing. ABC, NBC, CNN. Insert your fucking news organization. Like, it is one of the most hypocritical, dumbest, asinine. It feels like it was put together by a 12-year-old girl who loves Amber Heard. Okay, like that's what it feels like. Now I guess Annie Senior is really upset because he didn't get paid for his, and he's in there quite a bit. He's in there quite a bit. He's probably in there just as much or more than anybody else. Darth News is in there quite a bit. I've had the opportunity to meet him once. He's really funny. But he got paid because he answered the email. And he said, I knew they were going to manipulate my shit, so I might as well get paid. Because really,
100%.
Anyway,
so
they're going to argue fair use, which to me, it's more like fair abuse, right? Especially considering what we brought up earlier, Mr. H, for those who may have missed the earlier part of the show. Mr. H wouldn't show the trailer for Rebel Moon because Netflix is one of the worst.
Oh, they are bad
for claiming shit and not dropping it under the usage of fair use. But yet this entire documentary is running under the idea of fair use, and it is more like fair abuse is what I've been calling it. Because if we couldn't dream of getting away of using as much footage as they do.
Oh God, no.
And people like Tug, that Umbrella guy even said flat out he didn't want any of his stuff being used, and he's in there at least once or twice with Nick Rekieta and a few others. So like, it's sketchy. I'm surprised as many people are actually watching it, but I'm really happy to see the ratings that it's getting on Rotten Tomatoes, which are very, very bad. They're in the dumps. But then again, I'm reminded of, that Neverland documentary that got as wide as it did and how many people bought into that bullshit. And that was snuffed out pretty damn quick, but it still was not quick enough to where people didn't buy into it. So I'm wondering how many stupid people are going to buy into this documentary and going, oh, maybe I should think about it. Maybe I was wrong about Amber.
You know what? I don't think anyone will. The thing is, and this, how they framed.
I hope not, Nate, but a lot of people believe that Neverland documentary, and they literally had to reclassify that as not a documentary anymore because it had so many lies in it.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say was the way that they framed the documentary, or whatever you want to call it, on Netflix for Depp versus Heard, I think perfectly represents and also denotes the fact that they're well aware YouTubers did a better job of coverage than they ever could. And so I think the time's been and gone. The cultural moment of unity behind it and realizing what an absolute turd Amber Turd is, and the sort of, I mean, it was just prime time viewing. It was amazing, and it's gone. It's been and gone. People's minds have already made up. I don't think that there's ever going to be a time where people are going to suddenly go, oh, those YouTubers and their coverage was bad, or it was manipulated, or, oh no, I've got to really change my mind. I just don't think that's ever going to happen. And I think they realize that, and that's why the framing of their series or documentary, whatever it is that way.
I hope you're right, but people have believed less believable things, right? Like, and that's the thing. I mean, so hopefully, people just see, like, so far the Rotten Tomato numbers and such are kind of reflecting what you're saying, Nate. But then again, as many people are watching this, there's a lot of people who believe a lot of stupid shit. Like, do you realize how many people thought Wakanda was a real place after Black Panther came out?
Yeah, that made me lose faith in humanity.
That's what I'm saying. I like to believe we're smarter than they think we are, but the general audience really is that dumb sometimes.
some people don't know that milk comes from a cow, so I can believe.
Or they think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Did you realize that they did a study on that? And that, like, there was a large percentage of people who actually believe that.
I saw a trailer for the upcoming Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares, or no, it was Hell's Kitchen show that shows plays over here in the States. And he literally asked this girl, like, are you fucking stupid? What planet are you on? And she's like, America. Like, literally, I've seen, there's so many YouTube videos out there of just people going out on the streets and just talking and asking, like, just basic knowledge stuff, and they get the most weird, dumb answers from people. It's like, I mean, we are primed for alien invasion takeover.
Yeah. Why would they want to take it over? It's just anyway, whatever. Yeah, so
at this point, we're probably better off if they do, I think is what Nick's saying. Like,
well, yeah.
Before we're like, fuck that, we don't want to be under your control. Now we're just like, please come and save us.
So you wouldn't your slave. You wouldn't recommend Depp versus Heard then, basically.
Not unless you really just want to see it to say, hey, I know that guy or whatever. Or even Anna got her voice in there for like 2 seconds, and I think they listed her as a reporter, which is hilarious too. But I mean, it goes along with what you're just saying, Nate. And I've seen other articles about other unrelated things that are really kind of making me believe, which some people have always said, YouTubers will never have the influence or the sway or the audience that the main media has. I think we've proved them wrong in the last year.
Definitely.
Massively.
And I mean, I'm not trying to toot any horns. I mean, we already knew that we were well known within the halls of Paramount and Disney and a few other places in Hollywood personally, with Midnight's Edge, but look, Doomcock and a few others, Nerdrotic, and I mean, I'm sure even you at times, Nate, has gotten under these people's skins. They are afraid.
Oh yeah, I had. Yeah, I've had some lovely emails.
I'm sure you've had some moments. Yeah, so like, don't let them gaslight you into believing that we are not as influential as they like to think we are or say we are, because they know that at this point. Like, that's the thing. We've reached that point where we know they know that we know that they know.
A lot of
that we know.